Good evening and welcome to the 2014 Annual Gaming Awards, presented to you by the guys at Beasts of War. This is the third evening we've spent with you. You are quite entitled to kick us out of your screen tonight. Have we overstayed our welcome? Most likely, yes, but we have two important categories that we would like to reveal the finalists on. Tonight we're going to be having a look at the gaming landscapes of everything that is weird,
Pulpy, punky, and lovely.
Oh, yes. And, of course, that amazing landscape adored by every button and stitch counter in the planet. It is, of course, historicals. Anyway, without further ado, I think we'll just get stuck straight in.
Yeah.
Let's see what our first category is. The nominations for Pulp, Punk, Horror, or Weird Game of 2014 are Modifius, Actung Cthulhu. Mantic Games, Mars Attacks. Dust Studio, Dust. MicroArt Studio, Volsung. Spartan Games, Dystopian Wars. Outlaw Miniatures, Wild West Exodus. Vesperon Games, Carnivale. Weird, Malifaux. Flying Frog Productions, Shadows of Brimstone. Osprey Publishing, In Her Majesty's Name. Guillotine Games, Zombicide. So, gentlemen, there we have our nominations for Pulp, Punk, Horror, or Weird.
Some great stuff there.
It's an interesting category. This Pulp, Punk, Horror, and Weird is a genre we created. So it's a kind of a combination of genres, because if we started to split everything out, once you start getting into Weird and Punk, there's a ton of genres, subgenres.
Yeah, but for Pulp, Punk, Horror, Weird, they all sort of intermesh and interlink with each other, because you've got some that are punky, there are some that are pulpy, and it just all sort of blends together into a beautiful, massive games.
There's a lot of areas of overlap.
Yeah.
For instance, we could have a category for Cthulhu, just stuff that have Cthulhu.
Oh, yeah.
But
Instead
Cthulhu
we
appears
say,
in
you know what, it's Cthulhu, it's weird.
That would be called Lovecraftian, I suppose.
Yes, it would, indeed.
It's a category we came up with here at Beasts of War about maybe two or 3 years ago. Because we wanted to try and break things into genre, to try and make it easier for people with particular interests. And in our studies of traffic and everything else that was happening on the website, we found that people tended to gravitate towards a more genre type feel rather than I only play board games. So the whole breaking games up by type kind of started to wash away a bit on Beasts of War, because we were finding that some people that liked sci-fi liked to play all sorts of types of games within sci-fi, and the same thing was true in the other genres. But we then had this problem of all these different kind of subgenres and stuff, so we created Pulp, Punk, Horror, and Weird. So if you were wondering during the voting on that, where this genre came from, it's our own creation. I gotta say, I'm very proud of it. I think it's worked well.
Beautiful Frankenstein, shall we say?
Who would be in this, in fact?
Ta-da!
In terms of the nominations that made it through, a lot we expected. I've got to say, there's some great board games in there, and some great miniatures games.
Some up-and-coming stars of the industry are in there.
Yeah, well, we believe so. One game that didn't make it in, that I'm hoping, who knows, we might see more of it in the future, is Deep Wars.
You spoke about this before.
We don't have enough underwater games.
Deep Wars is a really innovative game in that respect. It's a completely unique game setting.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that we've explored space, we've explored history, alternative histories, fantastic fantasy settings. Underwater, though, just opens up so many opportunities. And I'm just a huge fan for submarines.
Yeah,
and
so
things like
you
that,
feel this is an untapped resource.
I think so. So if you're watching, maybe for 2015, I maybe nudge, wink, wink a few of you to see if we can get Deep
Get
Wars
me
in
Fishmen
there.
on the table.
I want to get more Fishmen, is right.
Yeah, do you want a fish tank?
Looking at pulp punk horror and weird over the past year, there's been some kind of standout moments. So obviously we had the whole themed week based around Volsung.
Oh yeah.
Volsung went back to Kickstarter. It's massively expanded on where it was, and we had an absolute blast with it. But it wasn't the only game it expanded. Malifaux had a lot of activity this year.
It had its new RPG book finally come out, Through the Breach. I cannot wait to get my hands on that.
Yeah, and then they got a crap load of plastic starter kits out this year as well.
Yes, a lot of development on Malifaux. And one of the interesting things, I believe that second edition Malifaux book was very, very heavily publicly play tested for a period before that.
Yeah.
Another area, another little company that I want to mention, it'd be remiss of me if I didn't, because this October they completely made my year, and that's 7TV with their Ghost Hunters.
They're paranormal exterminators.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Absolutely loved those miniatures, and we actually did receive a set in the post of those.
We did? I haven't seen them.
I did show them off in a weekender.
Are you sure? Are you sure they haven't disappeared into the back pocket of Warren?
They may well have disappeared into Warren's little pile of things that I have to do. It was great to see them. And then also, we had Carnivale make its return.
Oh, yes. A very welcome return.
Yes, I'm very happy to see it back.
That is one of my favorite game backgrounds, Carnivale. It's just got so much mystery and intrigue to it.
Yeah, it's it was also nice to see, I suppose, tentative suggestions of where that game might be headed over the course of the next 12 months for 2015.
And of course, we had the good master himself, David Asbury Across, who got to do the Ice Bucket Challenge with us.
Oh,
well. On us.
Yes.
So if you've missed that, have a look back through the Weekenders and you'll see us doing the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yes.
And then finally, we had the massive Kickstarter that was Dust. Now, Dust, if you are watching this and you're new to gaming, Dust may well be something you want to take a close look at. It is a weird world war. So it's a World War II game, but in an alternative universe where tanks walk and there's all sorts of crazy science.
Yes, you have cybernetic apes running around punching people in the face. You have werewolves. You have zombies. You have everything you could ever want.
The reason I think it's particularly good if you're a newcomer to this hobby is because the models come pre-built, so they're pre-assembled and pre-colored. I wouldn't say they're pre-painted, but pre-base coated.
Pre-primed.
And the rules have this really nice dynamic where you start with Dust Tactics, which is a kind of a more board game grid type feel. But once you've mastered it, you can move on to Dust Battlefield, where it becomes a full-blown tabletop war game with all of the rules and aspects that you would have expected of a tabletop war game.
Yeah. 2015,
I got to say, it's looking very, very good for the pulp punk horror and weird genre.
Yeah.
It doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
I can say this, having done the research for the show notes and everything. The pulp punk horror and weird genre has exploded over this year. At the beginning of the year, there wasn't that much in our listed under that category for us. There has been so much. It's become one of our biggest categories.
It absolutely has. It's really, really grown. And I'm very excited to see how this particular collection of weirdness expands over the next 12 months. Anyway, I think it's time we have a look and see who our finalists are. If you're partial to a little bit of weird, then this is the category to watch. We had a number of nominations, but ultimately it has to be whittled down to 4. And our 4 finalists for Best Pulp Punk Horror or Weird Game are as follows. Weird, Malifaux. Guillotine Games, Zombicide. Dust Studio, Dust. Spartan Games, Dystopian Wars. So there we have our finalists. Remember to tune in for the final to see who wins. Okay, I think now we'll move on to our final category. The nominations for Best Historical Game of 2014 are Two Fat Lardies, Chain of Command. Warlord Games, Black Powder. Gripping Beast, Saga. Iron Fist Publishing, Battle Group Curse. Devil Pig Games, Heroes of Normandy. Battlefront Miniatures, Flames of War. Osprey Publishing, Ronin. Wargamer Company, By Fire and Sword. Warlord Games, Bolt Action. Ares Games, Sails of Glory. So there we have our nominees for historicals. I'm, of course, joined by Justin and Dark Helmet.
It's not my name.
When we said to John that we were going to suit him up for the awards,
I turned up with the wrong suit.
You turned up with the wrong suit, and he's insisted on wearing the helmet.
Yep.
Just so as to make him feel at ease. It's a defense mechanism, really, isn't it? So,
well, Warren, after years of John sitting beside you pulling out large objects and smacking him around the head with it, yeah.
And don't forget the rant where you yelled a certain phrase so often that it's still in.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about that anymore anyway.
Didn't happen to ask him?
Okay, so a fantastic category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Historicals, what can I say about historicals? It's something that I have warmed to over 2 years ago. Historicals. Now, though, I've got to say I am getting so hooked on this genre. Loosely call it a genre, but for all intents and purposes, is a genre. I'm getting so hooked on this genre. Started with Flames of War, where I got to really recreate amazing tank battles. It's now evolved into things like Bolt Action. I got to say, I have a personal New Year's resolution. In 2015, I want to take my historical experience back a little bit further in time.
I think I can guess where you're going with this.
I want to start looking into the ancients. I want to start going to the ancients. I know you were thinking
that's further than I thought.
Yeah, you thought I was probably going to say World War I.
No, I thought you were going Napoleonic.
I thought he was going to go Napoleonic.
Well, I've enjoyed the Napoleonics from reading up on it. I haven't had the opportunity to have a battle of it. Next year is probably my year. So let me just put it like this. I'm going to start moving further back in time from the Second World War stuff. I'm still going to do it, but I'm starting to get fascinated by the Dark Ages and further back in time and to the likes of the Romans, Greeks.
The Egyptians and all.
The danger here is, right, I'm talking about this, and every one of you can tell I have no idea what I'm talking about yet. Yet.
I'm just waiting for you to go back far enough where it's just a couple of cavemen with clubs.
That would make an interesting war game.
Is there a war game for that? How far back do war games go?
Do you know what? There's going to be a Wargamer Dad section come up next year that's going to be the Flintstones.
Do you know what?
Done.
Actually, you are not far wrong, because I've been looking at a game with my children based on dinosaurs and cavemen. So it's I know the two never did meet. My history's not that bad, but for kids. Right, I want to talk a little bit about what has been happening this past year in historical gaming. Obviously, Bolt Action is on fire. There's a lot of releases for Bolt Action. One of my favorites has to be the Dad's Army. I was about to say the Auto Belinda, but I'll put the Auto Belinda to rest. It's got to be the Dad's Army minis for Bolt Action.
Especially with the movie coming for it.
They were so characterful. It really set off the whole start of 2014 for me. I just thought it's absolutely brilliant. Flames of War delved into the Great War. They've got some great supplements out for that, and some fantastic looking models as well. You know, so I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes over this next year or two. And I believe that Flames of War won't be the only game that starts to explore that whole World War I theme. So we'll have to wait and see. Saga is coming on leaps and bounds. Saga is a game I am really, really interested in right now because I really want to try the whole Dark Age type
this
things.
is
The Vikings, yes. Foreground have released that awesome
The long haul.
Viking long haul. I can just imagine playing a battle on that, although I got to say I'd be very tempted to do Beowulf reenactment on that one.
Could be done.
I think it
would also
could
be
be awesome.
for any historical role-playing games you want to play. If you want to role-play in the Middle Ages, why not?
And other massive news it was that the Perrys, the Perry brothers, left Games Workshop.
Yep.
And invested their focus 100% on Perry miniatures. We're seeing the results of that now with beautiful, beautiful plastic kits coming out of those guys. And, only time will tell just where the Perrys take that whole venture over the course of the next year. It takes time for these things to ramp up.
Yeah, but they're two really incredibly talented guys, so I can't wait to see what they come out with.
Well, I mean, 2014 for me, from a historical point of view, has been the year of the plastic kit.
Yes.
Absolutely. Flames of War have been bringing out plastic kits left, right, and centre. Those have been amazing. Warlord has teamed up with a miniature model company, Accessory, and have started doing their own plastic kits from that. And I think that's something a lot of people skipped over, was the importance of another industry coming in.
Scale model, because the scale model industry, from what I can gather, is much, much bigger even than our industry. So it's vast. And to see the likes of Accessory take an interest and say, actually, we want in on that, that will be very interesting, because who's next?
Yeah.
Could we be looking at some of the big Far Eastern manufacturers decide to come in on this as well and see where they can take it?
Well, I know John would love to see Dragon go in on it. For me, it would be, I'd love to see Tamiya take a hold of it.
I think Tamiya could do a fantastic job. Definitely could. But yeah, definitely the year of the plastic kits for me. That sums up my historical year.
Well, let's sum up the category. And now I'm going to go and announce the finalists. It's the genre that once I gave it a chance, I've truly fell in love with it. Yes, best historical game, and here are the 4 finalists. Wargamer Company by Fire and Sword. Warlord Games, Bolt Action. Battlefront Miniatures, Flames of War. Gripping Beast, Saga. All that's left to be said is a massive thank you all for putting up with us those last 3 nights. So for myself, John and Justin, we will say adios, and we will see you for the finals.